Behind the towering walls of the Forbidden City sat an accumulation of wealth almost impossible to comprehend. But for a desperate commoner, standing on the outside, the price to enter it required an unimaginable, agonizing physical sacrifice. Our story follows a boy born into devastating poverty in the dusty suburbs south of Beijing. His family nicknamed him Lacquer Nail. Out of 9 children born to his parents, only 3 survived infancy. As the only living son, the crushing expectation to carry on the family bloodline fell squarely on his shoulders. At age 7, his father took him to the streets of Beijing. There, he saw imperial officials draped in magnificent silks, moving through cleared avenues. That single visual planted a deep psychological seed. He saw what the top of the social ladder looked like, and he wanted to climb it. To Lacquer Nail, those silks represented the power of the imperial bureaucracy, a system where literacy was the literal entry requirement for the exams that transformed peasants into powerful officials. He begged for an education, and his father agreed to pay a local teacher's tuition by handcrafting a pair of leather boots. But his father was a terrible craftsman. The boots leaked, the enraged teacher expelled the boy, and his path to the bureaucracy ended in the mud. In this highly stratified society, an intense desire to rise simply couldn't overcome the inescapable gravity of poverty. Despite the setback, Lacquer Nail grew up and did everything right. He apprenticed at a workshop and mastered the meticulous art of lacquerware. He married a woman named Rose, had a son named Hao, and carved out a fragile, stable life for himself. Then, the macroeconomy of the Qing Dynasty collapsed around him. The Taiping Rebellion and the Second Opium War severely disrupted the essential trade routes along the Grand Canal. Goods stopped moving, and hyperinflation tore through the local markets. Right in the middle of this economic freefall, his young son fell deathly ill. To save Hao's life, Lacquer Nail went to a great Beijing apothecary. Buying the rare, life-saving herbs completely drains his life savings, and in the chaotic fallout, cost him his workshop job. He is now a jobless man in a failing state. There is no social safety net. His wife and child are entirely out of food, mere days away from joining the starving crowds of beggars roaming the Beijing streets. Out of options, he meets Mr. Chen. Chen is a wealthy, successful eunuch who presents a terrifying but viable loophole. Adult men can voluntarily sell their manhood to the imperial palace in exchange for a guaranteed salary. When a national economy completely breaks down and every other asset is gone, a desperate man's own body becomes his only remaining currency. To make the sale, Lacquer Nail checks into Mr. B's private back-alley clinic. The initial medical requirement is brutal: 2 full days of severe fasting without food or water to empty the body and prepare it for surgery. There is no modern medical technology here. No anesthesia to numb the cutting. The only medicine available is raw hemp, applied strictly to fight off the inevitable lethal inflammation. To prevent his shrieks of agony from attracting unwanted attention from the street, the clinic workers employ a crude silencer. They force a hard-boiled egg deep into his mouth, locking his jaw open and choking off his screams. He endures this permanent, agonizing mutilation for one singular reason. It is the ultimate, irreversible price he has to pay to ensure his family doesn't starve to death. Bleeding, physically broken, but alive, Lacquer Nail finally steps inside the Forbidden City. Mentally, he is highly optimistic. He believes his refined talent as a lacquer artist will easily secure him a swift promotion. In his mind, the horrific transaction is now complete. He gave up his body, and in return, he will earn a steady, reliable income to send back to his starving wife and child. But the palace ecosystem is not a meritocracy. It is a viper's nest of brutal, hidden factional politics. The eunuchs are heavily divided into 2 camps: the pure eunuchs, who are castrated as children and have no heirs, and the married eunuchs, who entered as adults to support outside families. The powerful pure eunuchs hold a deep ideological hatred for the married eunuchs. They view men like Lacquer Nail as impurity incarnate, men who experienced fatherhood and the world outside before retreating to the safety of the palace. Lacquer Nail unknowingly stepped directly into an ideological minefield built on this internal hatred. Waiting in that minefield is Mr. Liu. Liu is a high-ranking, pure eunuch, wielding immense administrative power, and he harbors a fierce grudge against Mr. Chen, the man who sponsored Lacquer Nail. Liu specifically targets the new arrival. To Liu, Lacquer Nail's prior life, his wife, his son Zihao, is a direct, infuriating insult to the pure eunuchs, who sacrificed their entire bloodlines to serve the emperor. Simply to spite Chen, Liu weaponizes his authority. He completely intercepts Lacquer Nail's paperwork and permanently destroys his career path. Instead of an artisan's workshop, Liu banishes him to the darkest, lowest-ranking manual labor corners of the palace. His artistic talent is permanently ignored. The steady, wealthy income he imagined is severed before he earns a single coin. Look at Lacquer Nail's final state. He is physically mutilated, he is politically paralyzed, and he is completely unable to fulfill the one objective that forced him to make the sacrifice in the first place. He paid the ultimate price to escape an economic prison on the outside, only to find himself locked inside a political one on the inside. When state systems fail under the weight of war and financial ruin, the poorest citizens lose their remaining choices. They are forced to cannibalize their own bodies just to survive another week. Lacquer Nail's story reveals a grim reality about imperial power. The majestic halls of the Forbidden City were designed to project authority, not to save the desperate commoners clawing at its gates. Lacquer Nail traded his physical body for his family's survival, only to find that in a collapsing state, even the most extreme personal sacrifice can be rendered worthless by the whims of a single gatekeeper.